Hello everybody, and special mention to those of you who got up at the crack of dawn in Australia to watch this live. It's lovely to have you and it's absolutely amazing to be here. My name is Helen Rose Carlier Jacobs and I'm a transformational mentor, which is a life coach known as the Self-Love Architect. So this talk is going to be all about what meditation means to me. It is not going to be a guided meditation. I'm not going to get you to meditate or do anything funky or be super relaxed, although, you know, you can sit comfortably. One thing I'd like to mention, because I can see messages and hearts flying on my screen already, I'm very thankful. I'm actually visually impaired because I have albinism. I have no pigment or protection in my eyes. I have a rather bright light opposite me, and therefore I can't read the screen and talk at the same time. So I'm going to have to answer your comments after the live is finished. So please forgive me. I am extremely thankful. I can see lots of hearts going up the screen and lots of messages scrolling along. And I am extremely grateful. I just can't read them and speak at the same time. So my journey into meditation started a few decades ago. I vividly remember the first time someone said to me, or one of the first times someone said to me, Helen, you really need to meditate. You've got lions and tigers and all sorts of fierce things going on in your mind. And it's all cluttered and you get angry a lot. Maybe you should take up meditation. And I remember sitting there and I knew roughly, well, I had an idea, I had a vision of what meditation was supposed to mean. But so when somebody said to me, maybe you need to, you need to calm yourself, you need to be calm and you need to meditate. My thought process was, what the hell does that actually mean? You know, I'm sitting still, I'm not moving. I'm actually motionless physically. What else can I do? In my head, I was about, masses and masses of thoughts were going around in my mind, all to do with what does meditation mean. I was the furthest thing from relaxed that you could possibly be. I had a series of counselling sessions years ago. It was more than 3 decades ago now. And one doctor said, I want you to focus on a mark on the opposite wall. So I'm sitting there and I couldn't see the wall. So I'm just staring into space like this. And he said to me, just pick out like a pinprick, any sort of little mark, and I want you to focus your eyes on this. So I'm thinking, okay, yeah, I can look like I'm doing that. And my thought process inside my head was, I wonder how many feet away the wall is. How many steps would it take to get me there? Thank you. My son's just brought me in some herbal tea. Yeah, so I wondered how many steps it would take me to get to this wall that I couldn't see. It must have been more than 8 feet away, otherwise I'd have been aware of it. And my thoughts became even more jumbled and even more confused. So I kind of felt like, wow, all these different people, professionals and counsellors, doctors even, were all recommending this meditation thing. And I had no clue what they were talking about. And this was in the time before Google and before search engines and before the internet was in a majority of houses nationwide. And so, I was stuck with options of going to the library, maybe reading from a book. So I started borrowing books. I did start borrowing books and I did start asking questions. And that led me down quite a long journey, which I'm still on really. I began to fall in love with meditation, the more and more and more I learned about it. And now several clients around the world whom I have been an inspirational figure to and a mentor and coach, it seems to be a common theme when talking about meditation. I recognize the blank look that people have because I used to have that look, and I used to be the one to sit there and be, oh my goodness, what am I supposed to do? I mean, I'd attended meditation classes or sessions, and these groups of people were sat there really in the zone and really like humming, or really, they looked really good. I mean, they looked like the epiphany of what somebody in meditation in my mind should look like. This was back then. I had this vision of what it should look like. And so I was observing other people, and I was reading from books, and I was studying great philosophers, and it was just all elusive. It was all elusive. And then about 6 years ago, I was visiting with somebody, and he said to me, I tell you what I want you to do, because I was sharing with him, my own spiritual mentor, I was sharing with him that, you know, to me, the whole thing around meditation. Yeah, I love what I'm learning. I love what I've read for decades. I love being able to watch videos and listening to guided meditations and meditative music and so on. But it seems to me that there's something ginormous missing for me. Now, I don't like fancy words and words with more than 2 or 3 syllables. And I don't like all the jargon surrounding quantum physics and metaphysics and neuroscience, and I can reel those off. Just, you know, paraphrase any scholar article for you in the language that's used. But that doesn't really reach your everyday person. And I like to think of myself as just an everyday person. Yes, I have masses of qualifications, and yes, I am very clued up and very well educated. However, I strive to just present as an ordinary, regular person that's not out of reach because of the language they use. So you very seldom find me using labeling or, like I said, really long, complex words. So the journey into meditation, my spiritual mentor said to me, what is your inner dialogue? What is the dialogue that goes through your mind when somebody tells you you need to be meditating and you need to be calm and you need to be sitting still and you need to be focused? And I started saying to him, well, sometimes, you know, I'm in the back of my mind, there's a shopping list being formed for the groceries that I need to cook dinner when I get home. Or there's a pile of laundry in my kitchen, and with having 6 children, you know, that's quite an extensive thing to stay on top of. Then there's, you know, I wonder if anyone's let the dogs out, or I wonder if someone's hoovered, or I wondered if the cooker's ready for me to walk in and just create a meal when I get home. And there was a whole conundrum of things. When you're a mum, you're a working mum, you run your own business, you're a professional person, your mind just gets topped up and topped up and topped up throughout the day, like this huge, massive cup, and thoughts just go in and go in and go in. And then in your quiet moments, you're processing the information that you've been downloading throughout the day. So by the time you get to the point of sitting and having a nice conversation with somebody and they're talking about meditation, the last thing I wanted to do was try to make sense of any of the contents of this cup. I just wanted to process things in the quickest possible direct route and leave. So it was becoming even more and more elusive. So my spiritual mentor said to me about my inner dialogue. And I started to think, yes, what is my inner dialogue? At first, my first reaction was I didn't have any. But that wasn't true. There was masses of things I was saying to myself, like along the lines of, oh, I'll file that for later, or, oh, I'll consider that later, or, oh, I feel so tired. I'm so tired, my eyelashes are hurting. I just want to go home and put my feet up. So I shared this with him, and he started saying, well, let's focus on that now. I want you to feel what your eyelashes really are doing. And so I was blinking, like, what are my eyelashes doing? Well, they're on the end of my eyelids. Yeah, okay. I have eyelashes. And then he said, oh, and what about your eyelids? What are they doing? And no word of a lie, my eyelids, I was focusing on my eyelids and I was really feeling them from inside my mind. And they started to feel really heavy. And then he sort of worked his way up and he was talking about the forehead, the temples, my hair. And pretty soon, all that cup full of information that had gone in throughout the working day, and me trying to scramble to get home to my children, it all evaporated and disappeared while I was focusing on my hair. And then I shared this with him and he said to me, there you go. That's meditation. Welcome to the world of meditation. And I still didn't understand what he meant. But I now know where your mind goes, your energy flows. Emotion. Where your mind goes, your energy flows. And so meditation, there's thousands of different definitions for what meditation is. But unless you're a monk and meditation is part of your everyday life and there's a certain discipline or practice that you have to do sitting in a certain position, you can meditate anywhere. And I frequently do. It can take 30 seconds, it can take a minute, or it can take an hour or more. It's basically, to me, meditation is being able to focus your mind without any other thoughts intruding on the process. So meditation to me is focusing your mind on something. Now, I'm not one of these guru types who can sit there and say, oh gosh, I emptied my mind. I've never been able to do that 100% of the time. But I do meditate frequently. And it has brought into my life this magical space of being able to internalize and be in tune with everything on the inside. It's actually quite a beautiful experience. So if we were to look at the body, your mind going into your body, inside your toes as you wiggle your toes, going up into the arch of your foot, flexing your foot and relaxing it again, pointing your toes up to your face and then relaxing them again, twirling your ankles round and relaxing them again, going up your shins, up to your knees, thanking your bones inside these areas for holding your weight, for taking you from A to B, going up your thighs towards your genitals area, around your pelvis, thanking all these areas for the hard work that they do, sustaining you, carrying you from A to B. And then working your way up your abdomen, your rib cage, behind your breastbone, your chest area. Thanking your trunk for sustaining you, for digesting your food, for processing your food, for processing all you consume. When you work your way up through the body like this, and you really focus on these areas, I mean, you can single out different organs too. You can be telling those organs to be rejuvenated, revived, alive, shrinking even, because many of you know that I'm actually famous for losing over 230 pounds in weight, which is 105 kilos. It's actually around 20 stone in weight that I have lost. And I did this through eating correctly, intermittent fasting, but the meditative process of actually talking to my body internally. So I was focusing all my attention on the inside. Excuse me. I was focusing all my attention on the inside and actually programming every single millimeter of my body to how I wanted it to feel and how I wanted it to be, how I wanted it to feel in the future, like how it is now. I've overcome illness with this method as well. You're in a dialogue, and being in tune with your inner dialogue is the way that I do it. If I have a goal to reach, I'll just share a very quick story with you. When I was paralysed and I was in a wheelchair for 7 years, and I had started rehabilitation on the 7th year, my refusal to accept the situation and what doctors were saying that I'd never walk again, I got wheeled into a rehabilitation centre. It was a centre for excellence, and the military were there. And there was all these different trainers and all these different respectable people around me, and they were all talking, and I could see their mouths moving. I could hear them they were just fading into the background. The voices, I didn't hear a single word any of them said, because just outside the window in front of me was a 400-metre athletics running track. My internal dialogue had immediately started, and I was running around that track. That was my goal. So from that moment on, my inner meditations were, I'm running. I'm going to be running. I am running. I am running. And I started to have the mindset through meditating on this. I was programming my mind continuously. I'm getting out of this wheelchair. I am running around that track. And I think it took, so this was the 12th of November. I had surgery on December the 31st, 2012. And Easter bank holiday Monday, so it was April the 23rd that year, I ran around that track for the first time. And this was after only walking a couple of 100 meters the week before. I was that good at muscle memory and my brain remembering what it felt like to be running around an athletics track, that I was able to really, 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 with precision focus, get to my calf muscles, get to my pelvis, my coccyx bone, the base of my spine, my core, because I had no core. When I was paralysed, I had no core. My abdomen had blown up and I had no core. But I was laying there and I was focused, my brain was focused, and I was continuously talking inside my body. This is what I want you to do. This is what you are doing. This is what you are doing. And I just kept focusing on all those different muscles. And I was telling them with my internal dialogue, you are running. And my mind, I was telling my mind, you are happy. You are running. You are happy. And I could really 100% feel, even though I couldn't move, I could 100% feel the process playing out inside of me, within me. That was my reality. And so all I needed to do was get the actual outer part, the muscles, the body, the skin, everything. I needed that to catch up. But my inner dialogue was already there, and I was already doing it. I was already running. Now that for me is my meditative process. So if I have a goal now, my brain, my mind is already there. It's already in tune, and my internal dialogue is already there. So that's one way that I use meditation. When I was a teenager, I had an experience where I had cemented braces put on my teeth from an orthodontist in London. And one of the days that I was there, a nurse she put a bowl, I was lying back on the seat, and she put a bowl here, and she was mixing the cement to pass the little spatula to the dentist, and he was cementing on the brackets for the braces. It was the railway track type orthodontic work that I had. And while she had this bowl on my shoulder, she was stirring the bowl. I drifted into a very, very deep sleep, because the sensation of somebody doing this on the front of my shoulder actually sent me, I was focused on this bowl moving here, and it actually sent me into a very, very deep sleep while all this work was being done in my mouth. And I had the huge plastic ball type thing that held it was bright blue plastic. It held your mouth wide open for the dentist, the orthodontist, to do the work. So it was a very painful, very frightening experience, but especially for one who can't actually see very much in the room. So I had this bowl here moving, and it was moving like this because she was stirring it. And I focused on this bowl, and it actually sent me into a very, very deep sleep. And I had to actually be woken up at the end of the treatment. And I felt really heavy and sedated, even though I'm allergic to anesthetic. And so I had nothing. There was no drugs in my system whatsoever. So this is another way of being able to meditate. So I might have my hands on the table as if I'm going to play the piano, and I might start doing this, which is a pianist's finger exercise. Obviously you have your hands spread right out to do this, but for the camera purposes I'm going to show you like this. So I might start doing this on the table, and pretty soon I can't keep this up for very long, because I'm focusing all my attention on these moving fingers. And I just sit there doing that until there are no thoughts in my mind whatsoever. A drummer may do paradiddles. So it's left, right, left, left, right, right, left, right, 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 left, right, 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 left, right, right, right. And they might just repeat this over and over again. And I guarantee you, by the process of counting or not counting, or just doing a repetitive action, it allows your mind to momentarily, for as long as you want to control the process, it allows your mind to be free from clutter and intruding thoughts. So anytime you feel like you're becoming afraid, You've got fear. You've got some sort of anxiety. You're worried about something. Start the process of counting without saying any numbers, just a rhythm, a heartbeat. If you focus really hard, you can actually hear your heart beating in your ears. Or you may hear a hissing, as if you've held a seashell up to your ear. I get that sometimes. So the whole process of meditation is all about being able to focus within, decluttering your thoughts. Yes, it induces a calm state. And yes, it's highly uplifting, and it is a beautiful journey to be on. It's been my absolute pleasure to speak with you today. I really hope you got something from this. Please drop me a comment below. I do run workshops which teach all about meditation and journaling meditations, and I'd be happy to have you there. So drop me a comment, drop me a message. It'd be lovely to hear from you. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you to everyone who's listened from different areas in the world as well. God bless.